The bombs fall at dawn. Cities burn. Borders collapse. And somewhere far away from the battlefield, the stock market opens. War destroys nations. But for a small circle of people in boardrooms and government offices, war is not chaos. It's business, and business is booming. For centuries, the richest and most powerful elites on Earth have understood a brutal truth. War doesn't just reshape the world, it prints money. Long before modern corporations and billion-dollar defense contractors, war had already become an industry. In the late 1800s, one man understood this better than anyone. His name was Alfried Krupp. Krupp didn't just manufacture weapons, he industrialized war. His massive steel factories in Germany produced artillery so powerful that entire battlefields revolved around them. Governments didn't just buy his weapons, they depended on them. And dependence creates leverage. By the early 1900s, Krupp's empire had become one of the largest industrial forces in Europe. Entire nations were ordering his cannons. And every time tensions rose between countries, another order was placed. Another shipment rolled out. Another fortune was made. Because when fear spreads across borders, governments stop asking about cost. They ask only one question: can you deliver faster than the enemy? Then came 1914. Europe collapsed into the first truly industrialized slaughter in human history. World War I. Over 16 million people would die. But while soldiers drowned in mud, gas, and artillery fire, factories roared to life. War had become a logistical machine. Bullets, shells, steel, fuel, trains. Every single day the war continued. Entire industries grew richer. One of the biggest winners was not a general, not a king, but bankers and arms manufacturers. Before the United States even entered the war, American financiers were already lending massive sums of money to the Allied powers. Billions in modern terms. But those loans came with conditions. The money had to be spent on American goods, American steel, American ammunition, American weapons. War had created a feedback loop. The longer the war lasted, the more money flowed through the system. And once that much money is moving through banks, factories, and governments, stopping the war becomes complicated. Because too many powerful institutions now depend on the conflict continuing. After World War II, something even bigger emerged. Not just weapons manufacturers, but an entire ecosystem built around permanent war preparation. Defense contractors, lobbyists, politicians, military planners, research laboratories, think tanks, all connected, all funded, all dependent on military spending. In 1961, U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower issued a warning. He called it the military-industrial complex.
The acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
A system where private corporations profit from government defense budgets, while also influencing the policies that create those budgets. It was a cycle. Fear leads to spending. Spending leads to profit. Profit funds influence. And influence fuels more fear. The machine keeps running, year after year, decade after decade. Today, war is no longer just an emergency. It's a market. The global defense industry now generates over $2 trillion every single year. And a handful of companies dominate this market. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman, BAE Systems. These corporations don't just sell weapons, they sell entire systems. Missile defense networks, advanced fighter jets, satellite warfare platforms, cyber warfare infrastructure, drone fleets, each contract worth billions. But the real power of this industry lies in something else: longevity. Modern weapons programs often last 20, 30, even 50 years. Once a government commits to a program, the spending rarely stops, because canceling halfway would mean admitting the entire project was a mistake, and governments hate admitting mistakes, especially when national security is involved, so the contracts continue. Budgets expand, and the machine keeps spinning, which raises an uncomfortable question. What happens when war becomes profitable? What happens when entire industries depend on conflict to survive? Does war remain a last resort? Or does it quietly become an incentive? Defense companies spend millions lobbying governments every single year, funding political campaigns, influencing policy, shaping defense strategies, not necessarily to start wars, but to make sure war readiness never ends. Because peace has a problem. Peace doesn't require missiles. Peace doesn't require fighter jets. Peace doesn't justify trillion-dollar defense budgets. Peace is terrible for business. For thousands of years, war was chaos. Kings fought, empires collapsed, nations burned. But in the modern world, war evolved. It became structured, industrialized, financialized, a system where destruction and profit can exist side by side. And that system creates a strange paradox. The same technologies designed to protect nations also feed industries that depend on conflict, which raises one final question. If war stopped tomorrow, how many powerful institutions would collapse with it? Because in the modern world, war isn't just fought on battlefields, it's fought in boardrooms, in contracts, in balance sheets, and somewhere between profit and power, peace became the most expensive outcome of all.